This video is going to show us how to make a model for 3D printing off of a raw scan that was sent through the PrimeScan to Sarasota Bay Dental Lab. After you've downloaded the case from Connect Case Center inbox, you will be able to open the case in the in-lab software. Again, initially we just have a raw scan and we need to clean up the model and add a base to it. So open the case in in-lab, select the model module, and one of the first steps is going to be what you see here, where you have to kind of cut and trim the model up, getting rid of some of those loose edges and making just a little cleaner of a model. So go around the whole model, cleaning things up. Be aware that sometimes you'll select the wrong area and there's a button up here to invert selected. But take your time with this, make sure you're not cutting away any tooth structure, staying a millimeter or two away from the gum line around all the teeth. And yeah, go ahead and start cleaning it up as you see here. This is similar to the chairside software, where if we're doing a crown to be made in-house, you're going to take your scans, your impressions, and sometimes it helps to clean up all these edges. The scanner will pick up a lot of information and it can run a little smoother if you trim it up like this before you go to design your crowns, but it's especially important in this situation when we're going to be 3D printing a model. So this patient is going to get a new lower retainer. So all we need to do is trim up the lower model. If you needed to make upper and lower models, say for bleaching trays, you would do the same for upper and lower as we're doing here. This patient also has a missing tooth at number 19, so it's going to be a little tricky to make a full arch retainer. Most likely we're going to 3D print the whole model, and the retainer is just going to end at the distal of 20. And you can see there how you have to invert the selected. Sometimes you don't want to delete the entire arch itself, you just want to delete those edges. So after you've got it all trimmed up, go to the next steps, and eventually it's going to open the in-lab model module, and this will allow you to do the refined model. So you have your upper and your lower. It's already been kind of trimmed in the previous steps, and this first step is very similar, but it's just called clean model. It's going to give you an initial proposal line, and I recommend you go around it and just, if there's any areas that are close to the teeth, like here, just modify it so it's not touching the tooth. Essentially, whatever is below this line is going to get cut away, and a base is going to be extended from this line. So it's important that you take a little bit of time here and make sure you're not removing anything that's important. Go ahead and hit apply once you have everything in place, and it's going to take a second, and then you will see a nice base. I recommend having the base with all these preset values as small as possible. It should already be defaulted to that. But once you have your base, go to the next steps. There's a few other things you can do in here if you ever wanted to make more detailed models. You can make gingiva masks, you can make stumps, but this is just a retainer, so all we need to do is get a nice clean base. The only thing I would do beyond this point is hollow it out, keeping the thickness of the resin at 3 millimeters, and it gives you the option here, carve out model, default it to 3 millimeters, hit apply, give it a few seconds, and you'll see it's kind of hollowed out in a uniform fashion. Just like that. And once it's finished processing, you can export the file. You're going to hit export, and you're going to want to make sure you export it as an STL file. I think it will default to exporting it as a Seric file, but you want to export it as an STL file so you can open it in this preform software. If you haven't used it before, this preform software is for our 3D printer. So once you have your model, wherever you've saved it, it should get saved onto the desktop. You can import it into Preform, and then you're going to need to add your supports. You can see the supports are kind of on the facial of some of the teeth, so you're going to do a little rotation to try to get it away from those areas. If it doesn't work on the first try, rotate it a little bit more and auto-generate the supports again, and keep tweaking it until the supports are all in ideal spots. Now you can see there's no supports on the tooth and it's fully supported, so it is ready to print.